beginning radio song. I'm hearing voices, animal voices, the creme de la creme, the feminine of this soon. Reaching my threshold, staring at the truth till I'm blind. My body's stupid, stereo putrid, spewing out music in the raw sewage. Reaching my threshold, staring at the truth till I'm blind.
Hey, how's it going, universe? Welcome to another episode of Zoobox Goes to the Movies. I'm joined with first-time guest of the show, my wife, Sarah. Say hi, Sarah.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to be the first woman voice on this show.
That's true. We're very progressive here at Zoobox, and we accept all manners of opinions. All of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because for a long time, we had talked about doing this, and I was a little apprehensive. I was probably the one that was holding it up, because I was like, I don't want my wife to get in trouble, basically, because of the things that happen when she's not on the show. So,
It's fine.
but we're going to throw caution to the wind. We're going to live on the edge. We're basically going to be a couple of late Gen X hipsters really getting into it today. We're going to be talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the Edgar Wright film from 2010, but we're also going to be talking about the book series by Brian Lee O'Malley. We read all 6 volumes. We have like a liquidation kind of overstock store close to us called Ollie's.
They're everywhere. They have them back home.
Do they really? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was.
I don't know if it's just an East Coast thing, but it's a thing.
I didn't know if it was just a southern thing, but they have really cheap books there, and I happened upon all 6 volumes of Scott Pilgrim for like $3 each. What?
You said pawn?
No.
Oh, I thought you said pawn. I was like, what?
No, I came across all the 6 volumes. They're like $3.
Gotcha.
Yes, there you go. And that's my natural smoky lisp, coming through. But anyways,
really good books there.
Yeah, they have great books, a lot of comic books. They rotate in, like they had for about 2 years. They had all these weird, random DC stuff. Actually, I bought some of that stuff when they were on sale. But we got this for $3 a piece, which normally they're like $11. So if you go to a bookstore, it would have cost you almost $70 to get the series. And I was like, well, $18, I can do that. And I had thought that I had read the whole thing, because I started reading them when the movie came out. I was not really aware of it beforehand. I'm not a huge comic book person. I'm kind of like very selective. Did you know about like the series before the movie came about?
I knew about it, but I didn't finish it until the other night.
Yeah.
I think I'd only skimmed through like the first 2, but I kind of I made myself more aware of it when I went to go see the movie, because I saw it when it came out.
Yeah. I think where was I? I was in Montana when it came out. So I got a cam of the movie, and then I got a torrent of the book series, because the book series actually did not finish until around the same time the movie came out. This is actually where
it finished. Hang on, I wrote it down actually. I think it's like a month apart.
No, I think it's like almost day and date, isn't it?
Yeah. So the 6th volume came out in July. The movie came out that August.
Yeah, we are on the 10th anniversary of Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, don't say that, because that's when I graduated college. Stop it.
It says here on IMDb, it says August 13th is when it came out in the USA. So,
yep,
seems about right.
And
so
it's July 20th for Volume 6.
Yeah, so maybe I'll put this video out on the 10th anniversary. Be real, get real fucking nuts.
Oh, where did you go?
So, it had been a while since I'd watched the movie. I think it had been a while since you'd really watched it too. And I had over the years, I had already kind of cooled on it. Like I kind of thought, I was like, I don't really like Scott Pilgrim, like on repeat viewings. Like when I first saw it, I thought it was awesome, but
yeah, I think when we first met, you were kind of like, it's fine. I enjoyed it more then than I think I do now. And I think the last time before I watched it again, for this was, I think I watched it when we first bought this house. So it's been a little over a year.
Okay.
Because I think it was it's been on Netflix for a while, and I just wanted to watch something. So it had been like a year. And then I've watched it, I guess, since we decided we were going to do this, I've watched it 2.5 times. I don't know if I should count the first time though, because when I first got sick, so I was kind of like in a fever daze.
Yeah, we're coming off of the throes of COVID-19 in our house.
Corona.
Been
Yeah,
locked
I was
in our
pretty
house
excited we were doing this. This is like a date.
Yeah, been locked in our house for going on 3 weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
Uh,
great.
no petty arguing or anything like that. You can love each other to the end of the world, but if you got to spend 3 weeks in a room together, it gets rough. Although we're pretty good, we're pretty resilient about that. Just because Sarah and I, a little background, we have been. I mean, how many days have we actually spent apart since we met?
Like honestly, probably maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So and we've lived in a lot of small, cramped areas in that time period.
Yeah, I like our loft apartment.
Our loft apartment above my mom's garage. Great place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That'll really test your marriage. You want to really test your relationship, put everything you own into one room and live in it.
With a pregnant lady.
Yeah, and my wife was pregnant too. Yeah, Sarah's pregnant. Really nuts. But so, what was your feeling about the movie though throughout the years since it came out? Did you still kind of have an affinity for it? Did you still kind of like it?
So when I first saw it, funny enough, I was on a date, so it was just kind of funny. So it was kind of like a fun like date movie. And then over the years, I thought it was just like fun. I liked the style of it. I had liked what I had already seen of Edgar Wright, so yeah, it was just fine. And but I guess as I've gotten like on these rewatches, it was just to me, I was just kind of like I kind of rolled my eyes a lot. Does that make sense? I was just kind of like didn't have that kind of charm. I think it was very different from a lot of things when it came out too. I mean, because it was coming out with all the comic book movies, but it was a very different kind of comic book and comic series, I guess.
Oh, for sure. Because it is very. I will say this about the comics and even of the movie as a representation of the comics. Like, it really captures a moment of time. Yeah. It really accurately portrays. If you were in that kind of a scene, it is exactly that lifestyle. And you were probably more familiar with that than I am. But that, like, basically, for lack of a better way to put it, it's just hipster lifestyle. The hipster lifestyle.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you'd call it? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much, or just, being in like I'm from Baltimore, but Baltimore's small, so being like the small scene. I mean, you could probably relate though when you were in Alaska, being in a band and
that's
dealing with those interpersonal dynamics. I mean, but for me, like I was reading like those web comics, like Questionable Content and Diesel Sweeties and things like that, so like that kind of humor and style and stuff was more, I guess, things I guess, like you were saying, familiar with and kind of had in my life.
Well, it has like enough attention to detail to be very, like, it's so specific. Some of the things are so specific that it's like it immediately resonates. But I would say, like, getting older and going back now at like 33, almost 34.
Oh, yeah.
10 years older than Mr. Pilgrim. It is a book written because Brian Lee O'Malley, when he wrote the book, he started it in 2004. He was kind of their age. He was like a little older than they would have been. Go ahead. I was going to say, so he was capturing his life that he had just lived. And I would say, as a criticism, the fact that this book is just very on the nose, very superficial, and it has nothing to say about the hindsight, right? About if you reflected back on that time of your life, you might have like actually understand it better. But this doesn't really promote that. It just promotes the moment, right? It just represents the moment.
Actually, kind of I read like some backstory on it too while I was reading the graphic novels, and I don't know if you read this, where he got the idea originally from. So when he was dating his wife, now ex-wife, they were dating, and he had found out she had dated 3 Matthews. Yeah. So he made the joke of like the League of Matthews or whatever, and so that's kind of what spurred some of it. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, he's a real piece of work. This guy, he's just a hipster down to his core. I was joking. Yeah, pretty much. He just. I mean, I've watched interviews with Brian Lee O'Malley. I've read some other books he has. Actually, I have it over there. It was another Ollie's pickup, Lost at Sea. It's another one of these kind of ponderous, like
Oh yeah.
late. I guess would he be from late Gen X? He'd
I
be
gue-
like
yeah.
late at the very end of Gen X, going
Yeah, because
into
we're
our
not Gen X.
generation.
We're not Gen X.
Oh, he was born in 1979,
Yeah. Yeah, so he's like,
so he was 25 when he started writing it. So he's like on the in between of Gen X and Zoomers, I guess. I don't know.
uh, I can't even keep
Or,
up with all
or
the names.
millennials. Yeah, I don't know either. It's very
We're
confusing.
technically millennials. We're
That's
like
what
on
they
the
say.
first end of millennials, but I don't know.
Yeah, we're like the early adopters of millennials, you know.
I don't.
I
It
would
gets
say
so.
this though. I think Scott Pilgrim as a property represents millennials very accurately.
Oh, 100%, especially with like the nostalgia, like kind
Yeah,
of
the fake,
nostalgia form with like the
the fake
like all the
nostalgia, where people are playing Game Boys because they don't want to play a PlayStation. Like,
shut
yeah,
up.
like it's all about
Or yeah,
retro games, and they're making references like, oh, I learned the Final Fantasy battle music on my bass, and
the funniest thing, I kind of had a moment because when I was reading some of the factoids and stuff, when they were like talking about how Edgar Wright asked about using like the credit music or beginning to the theme of the Zelda, like
yeah,
they kept like miscalling it like, oh, he got permission to use the theme from Zelda. I'm like, that's not the theme. That's just like the whatever. Anyway, so I had a moment kind of where I was feeding into that a little bit. And I was like, oh, stop it.
well, Sarah is very much like that. She's like an aestheticist. Like it needs to look right. If it doesn't
Yeah,
look right, you're like, this is stupid.
exactly.
We've had many arguments about the X-Men movies over the years. Not that any of them are great. I mean, there's like a couple
No,
good. There's a couple like good ones. There's like Days of Future Past, Logan, maybe X2.
Logan's the best one.
It's also one of
I
the only ones not directed by a pedophile. So it's
right.
got that
Good
going
job.
for it. Got
Good
that going
job.
for it. Maybe who knows though? You never know with all these things coming out these days. Maybe we'll find out Edgar Wright was also on Epstein's plane. You know, maybe we'll find out.
It probably was. I mean,
Maybe that's why his boys ditched him. They don't work together anymore. Maybe they found out. You know what I'm saying? You know who his
yeah.
boys are? Simon Pegg, Nick
Peg
Frost.
and Nick Frost. Yeah.
Well, that's the weird thing. So kind of skirting over to the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Edgar Wright is a really great aestheticist and a technical director. He's got a style. He can really put together a scene. It's always very exciting, always very interesting to watch. But he is an awful writer, and his scripts are awful. The movie that I think he doesn't make another movie until Baby Driver.
And I will tell you, so he did
No, he
do
did.
one of the Go ahead.
I'm sorry, he did The World's End, and then he did
Yeah.
Baby Driver after that. And The World's End's like okay, and then
Yeah,
Baby Driver is
that Tornado Trio that was kind of like I was like, oh, this is fine. Like out of those three, I could take or leave that movie. I don't even know if I would really be excited to watch it again. Like if it was on, I'd watch it, but I was kind of like, eh.
yeah.
And Baby Driver, I was not super stoked on. I will thank him for probably introducing a younger generation to one of the best bass lines in a song to ever exist, but that's about it.
Which song is that, Sarah?
Neat, 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 Neat by The Damned when he's like in the car.
No,
But
I think
the style is great, but it's like not.
Oh,
I didn't get all that hype.
the
Like,
technical aspects are incredible. Like the look of that movie is incredible, but it is a hollow, contrived, like faux fantasy. Like it just sucks. I'm sorry, everybody. I never thought any differently. It's not like I watched it once. I was like, oh, it was okay. I always was just like, what the fuck is everybody talking about?
but it did give us Terminator John Hamm, which I will always be thankful for.
Yeah, the year of 2017 was all about villains that would turn into the Terminator at the end.
Right?
They just couldn't stop.
Like these huge, massive explosions, the entire like area is burning, and they're just like march out, and you're like, what the fuck? I just fell down a 20-story building, and here I am again. And you're just like, why? Stop.
I will also with Scott Pilgrim the movie. I think the casting is near perfect. I don't think there's
I will
anybody
say
that's
great.
Michael Cera is fucking Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
For better and worse. For better and worse, right? Because Scott Pilgrim is kind of an annoying character. He's an annoying protagonist.
he's kind of an asshole.
and that is the point, right? And that's the point
Yeah.
of the books. That's the point of the movie.
I feel
I
like
don't.
it's a little more lost in the movie, though, I'll say. I feel like, and we can talk about it in a minute when we get there, I feel like that gets lost in translation a little bit from the book to the movie in the ending. Because they changed, like, two little things, in my opinion, that just kind of takes away that Scott's realizations at the end. It takes away from the fact that he is an asshole and he accepts that.
Yeah, it doesn't make a good case for it in the movie in terms of believing that he has come to terms with it, because they didn't seed it throughout the story. And I would say, as a criticism of the books, because he wrote these one volume at a time, one a year basically for 6 years. I think even he lost the thread at some point. I think even he lost the thread of what he was trying to do with those characters, because that last book is very truncated and rushed and
you can tell that they were both kind of informing each other, because even in the movie they couldn't fix some things because they had a pivot, especially with how Scott was going to end up. Because if I'm not mistaken, the author of the books, his original intention was Scott was going to be alone at the end.
Which is what should have happened.
Yes, 100%. I agree. And then he changed, and the movie changed, and so it kind of, I think that's where, towards that end, I understand, we've talked about this, there's so much that happens in the books. I mean, the book's over a course of a year, right? And so there's a lot of things that happen, to condense that into a movie is hard. So you are going to lose some things.
I mean, it's
right?
The first 3 volumes or 2 volumes at least, it is almost shot for shot the books, the movie is. And then because they were in production of this a few years, they were writing a script a couple years before they even started making the movie. So they had to do something different, and they basically had to ask him, generally, what are you thinking is going to happen? What are the set pieces?
Right.
And then he told them that. But I think the movie really fucks over Ramona. Ramona's kind of awful in the movie.
Yeah, they made her look a lot more cold.
She's much more sympathetic, and you empathize with her a lot more in the books than you do in the movie. Even the whole thing with her going back to Gideon in the movie is a completely undercut her character's journey.
Yeah, they get rid of that glow. There's this thing they call the glow in the books, and that just totally kind of isn't there at all. And then they make it some just control device that they put in her neck.
Yeah, it was kind of.
And it's the glow is kind of more when you're reading about the journey of dealing with your baggage and stuff, I guess, which is part of one of the bigger points of the story, in my opinion. Dealing with your baggage and moving forward. When you take away something the glow, which is when you hit certain memories in your life, you kind of just get stuck in them. You take that away, it just kind of takes away the big part of the journey, I guess.
Well, not only that, but when Scott goes to confront Gideon in the book, Ramona's not there. Ramona did not go back to Gideon. Scott just thinks she did, because he expects her to have done that because he's been fighting her ex-boyfriends. But then you find out that no, Gideon wants to fight him because he thinks Ramona's with her, and vice versa. And then she shows up and helps Scott defeat Gideon, but she's just been off fighting herself. It's not. She's not
subspace, which doesn't really exist in the movie either.
They mentioned they call it the subspace, because she shows up to his door to deliver the package. She says,
she does talk about it. Yeah.
She says, I was in the subspace. It can go 5 miles in 3 minutes. And that's really kind of the only time they directly reference it. Yeah.
Oh, no, and then I guess when she pulls her hammer out.
Yeah, because of her purse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine.
To have you could just pull shit out of a bag,
yeah. I didn't think it. I mean, I don't think things like that. Right, is not the stuff that I missed in the movie. I missed kind of just the nuance of actually their characters, because this is such a superficial version, the most superficial version of their characters, and you lose a lot. You lose the point of the story, because it just becomes an action movie of escalating set pieces when he's fighting these evil exes.
Yeah, you're saying with Ramona, in the book, she's constantly asking about Kim and what happened, and she's more of an active participant in which you thought was going somewhere else.
Didn't you feel like they were foreshadowing that, and then they just drop it? Kim just disappears from the story.
Not to be weird, I just felt like he just had some weird lesbian fantasy that he was trying to work through.
The writer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because then, like, with like the drunken thing with Knives and Kim at that party.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why? Like, this is just okay. And it's,
But that's
I know.
but that's how that shit is, though.
I guess.
You're hanging out with hipsters, everybody's, yeah.
I would know.
It did. I will say this. It made me nostalgic for a time where people could give each other shit for things like that, like, or just kind of joke around and not be so serious about like personal identity. Because it is
That's
very
actually
much.
that's like what it was like for us, I
It
guess.
was,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Like,
I mean,
you
you were
ask your gay
always
friend,
like,
why are you being so gay?
well, it's true, and but you were still sensitive to where something was happening. At least this is what with me. I had friends that were all creeds, background, whatever, and if something serious was happening, you stuck up for your friends, but you could still, like you were saying, give each other shit about like what you were doing, and
Yeah.
you live, and it was out of love.
It wasn't like some sort of bullshit, like virtuous artifice. Like we have to pretend like everybody's a sacred cow. We're not allowed to like approach each other in any type of real way. Like real humans interact and bond. Like we're not allowed to do that, or at least it feels like we're not allowed to do that these days. But so it did kind of make me wistful. Even the movie made me wistful for that. I was like, oh, what a simpler time.
10 years ago.
But I don't know. I think that the movie, though, I will say, like the aesthetic and the feeling of the book, I think the movie captures pretty well. I think it does a pretty good job, like actually feeling like the book with the transitions and the style, and then
the humor's there too. They get a lot of the good one-liners. They didn't leave out of the book. Yeah, like they're my favorites. Like when he's like, "Punch her in the balls," like just it's just stupid moments like that.
Yeah.
Like
They definitely reconfigured stuff too, because they give lines to other people, but just to make sure the lines in the movie. Because I think,
or just the way certain fights happen. And I get, like we were saying, it's just kind of like you do have to make. Are you shocked that I'm taking this side of the opinion that you can adapt from books differently into film? Are you like shocked right now?
A little bit. Sarah's the person that'll be like, "Oh, the book was better." I'll be like, yeah, no shit. But the book is different, Sarah.
Well, no, you get what kills you is like we'll bring up X-Men again. When I just get mad about like the timelines that they do with characters and stuff like that, they did not exist like that. They didn't.
I made a pretty good argument though. I was just like, look at all the different timelines in the comic books themselves.
Shut up.
Like this is just another timeline. And it's
but I mean, Iceman and Rogue was never a thing.
Never.
So.
Well, it is now. Okay. It is now. In the cinematic universe, it is.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah, but that's, I think, even I think the movie also, the fact that they filmed it in Toronto, the story takes place in Toronto. It feels like a little hipster town, like a city. Felt like identifiable that way.
Really feels like where I lived in the small part of Baltimore in Mount Vernon. Because there's like that one coffee shop we would go to. There's the venues that all have the stupid names. Like, let's go to the sidebar tonight. You're like, what, the sidebar? Like, okay. Just these generic dumb names.
Yeah. And then they have the record store. They would have...
Yep, Soundgarden. Yeah, I mean, so, yeah, you're right. Like, it was very, familiar of that time. Like, my best friend was...
Thrift stores, and everybody shops at thrift stores.
Right. I used to have to because I was poor, though. That's the thing.
Stop. I remember I talked to, just a side tangent, I used to live with a kid. Mm-hmm. Or he was visiting. I lived in Boston, he was visiting. And he was like, "Oh dude, I'm so poor, I gotta wear girls' pants." And I was like, dude, we all know that these cost twice as much as guys' pants.
Right. And they don't have pockets. Who wants that?
I'm so poor. No, because he was wearing girls' jeans.
Yeah, I get it, but
I'm like, listen, skinny punk kid.
Wear them. Yeah.
I was like, he's a little skinny punk kid. Like he's like all about skateboarding. 19.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
I was just like, dude, you can just dress how you want to. You don't need to
No one cares.
Nobody cares.
I mean, if anyone knew you and how you and your band used to dress, they should know they should not have to justify that shit to you.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, that's very true. He used to wear women's pants, nice form-fitting women's pants. You got to have the butt for it, though. If you don't have the butt for it, you just look like
Well, you got
you
a
look
bubble butt. So.
you look like our friend of the show, Big Paul. You just look like a joke. Look like somebody's wearing a costume.
I hate when you call him that. Ugh.
What his name is now. It's forever.
We'll have to get him like a airbrush shirt made for Christmas.
So anything like stick out to you in particular of like the book or the movie, like that struck you or struck a chord or you found resonated or that you just liked?
I guess we were kind of already getting on that, where you're right, where it does like kind of remind you of that time. You know what I mean? So like you say, you get a little like, it does take you a little bit down memory lane and stuff. Like, I do enjoy, like you said, I'm very much a style person too when it comes to movies a lot of the time. I either need lasers or it needs to be pretty.
Yeah.
And have good music. So I think it had a lot of that. I'll give him that. Like you said, he's very good at that. So for me, that was kind of enjoyable. I guess in the positive, those are the positive things that stuck out to me. Where for me, the book though was more like getting to finish it and go through it thoroughly was kind of nice to actually see what the emotional complexities of the story were that are missed in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think I appreciate the book a lot more than I do the movie now.
Which is, I
think I've kind of cooled on. I'm kind of like where you used to be with the movie. I'm kind of like, it's fine.
I appreciated the movie more after reading the books to see how they adapted it and like what they had to do to make a movie. So like on a technical side, I was like, oh, okay, I understand some of these decisions. I do think you could have just made the movie 10 minutes longer and we could have just had a little bit more character stuff that would have actually built things out. I mean, one of the problems with I guess that's a problem in the books too, is that there are just so many ancillary characters that just come in for a couple one-liners. They're kind of used as jokes. They're used as kind of to come in and give a one-liner. And the movie is trying to like maintain the spirit, so it's always shifting between people, and you never really get a good sense of everybody because it's trying to represent like all of the ancillary characters in the book, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there were only like I would say like 3 major characters that were missing that might have changed a few things in the movie. I would just say 3. Like they don't really go into what's her name? The name of is it Lynette? Is the 3rd member of Clash of Demon Head? Yeah,
they don't get into that at all.
They don't do Lynette, and then they don't do. No, I mean, but for me, because it kind of they changed Envy a ton too. She's like not at the end fight. Like, well, because I don't know.
Envy is a character in the book. Like, she is not just like one of these obstacles. She's a character that kind of lost her way. She had her own baggage. She had her own problems with Scott. Like, her character is meant to show you how Scott has recontextualized what happened. Like, Scott is not an honest narrator. He's not an honest about like his role in his girlfriends, basically, in their lives.
No, right, and that's to me. So I'll get to like the thing that hit me most. The difference between the book and the movie I did not like kind of feeds into that. Where at the end, it's like the Scott accepts and says out loud that he is no better than Gideon. And so he finally accepts his role, like how he is an asshole, that he isn't fair, he isn't, even the thing with like Envy, and then he even realizes like the fight he went through for Kim and stuff was actually quite different than how he interprets it and tells it. Yeah. And then by the end of the book, because he doesn't do his little sabbatical thing in the movie where he kind of comes to that realization and is like, I'm no better than Gideon. And in the movie, they kind of change it to where it's like, in the book, Scott gets the power of understanding at the end, but in the movie, it's the power of self-respect. Yeah. And to me, that changes a lot of like the initial like emotional social message, because like to me, it's better that he got the power of like understanding than self-respect in a sense, because that's not the journey Scott was going on initially. It was not of self-respect. It was to understand like his role in everything. Yes, yeah. And that's how he was to grow. So to me, that's the thing I think realizing upon like reading it and rewatching it, I'm kind of like, I don't like that. Like I didn't like that. That they got rid of kind of that whole bubble of like, he's no better than Gideon, gets the power of like self-respect. And it's like, no, I liked the power of understanding better, you know?
Yeah.
To me, that was the change that bothered me the most.
Sure. And I think, you know, because his journey in a lot of ways parallels Ramona's, like in the book. Because Ramona is working through her baggage as they are going through the boyfriends, right?
Right.
And coming to this,
Well,
this. What's that?
It's exes, not boyfriends.
Oh yeah, that's right. The evil ex. Because her whole thing is that she needs to discover that she's like a codependent person. She just has gone from one person to the next without really a break in between. Every boyfriend butts up against the last up until Scott. So at the end of the book, which I had like a false memory. I had like one of these Berenstein Bears things, this parallel universe thing. The Mandela effect. I had the Mandela effect. I thought I read a different version of this ending of this book. I thought that he ended up with Knives Chow, which I was just like, in the movie, because in the movie,
that was the original intention.
Oh, well, it's also, and it's a red herring as well. I think it could be played as a red herring. I don't think in either version, now having revisited and reread and all that stuff, that he should have ended up with knives. No.
No. Well, first of all, because in the book, doesn't by the end of the book, he's like 24 and she's like 17. So
she turns 18 in the book.
I know, but I'm just saying, so for most of the thing, though, he's like 24 and she's 17. That's a little...
23. He's 23 when they start dating, and then 24 at the end.
But still, why are you trying to justify that? There's a big difference there.
I think Brian Lee O'Malley is savvy enough to understand that if you are from that world, the guy that is dating the girl in high school in his early 20s is a loser.
Yeah,
he's the outcast, right? He's not the one that most people, they don't like him because everybody knew that guy or that person that still kind of can't grow up. They haven't grown up, and like they're happy to have a girlfriend that's infatuated with them because they're older, and like that's it. That's all Knives is. That's why she likes Scott.
I do like the ending of the book though, where he kind of like when he sees her off, she's like, "You'll always be my clash of the demon head." So kind of showing that she's ready to like grow and go.
Yes, yeah.
I really like that.
Well, because the whole thing is about, part of the theme of the story is that your relationships have meaningful components to them, even the ones that don't work. Like you should learn and grow from them, and that's kind of Knives being ahead of the curve, right? She immediately recognizes that this is something to learn from and grow from, whereas Ramona and Scott did not. They're lost.
They each other though.
I don't know. That's why I had such mixed feelings at the end of the book. I was just like, I don't know.
I do agree that everyone should just kind of ended up like on their own, just like.
Well, because they almost do like a shortcut because they're basically saying that like, yeah, we're gonna be on our own, but no, we're choosing this now. Now this is not because we feel codependent or whatever. No, we're actually now we are choosing to be together. This is not some sort of parasitical thing where I need Scott to fight my exes so I can learn, and Scott needs to do that to validate himself. Like, it's not that anymore. Now they just are together to be together.
Yeah.
So I get it.
The book kind of builds on it better, though, because they start taking steps. Like, they move in together.
I'm talking about the book, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. They move in together. Scott gets a job because of her, kind of like... So they start taking the steps to actually like be more of like a relationship as opposed to like a situationship, I mean, I don't know.
Serious stuff, yeah. Well, because do you think they were in a situationship before?
Yeah.
They move in together in the book.
No, I meant before. Like once they start doing all that kind of stuff, and he gets the power of love a lot faster in the book than he does in the movie.
Yes.
Like they kind of make all that happen. Like love dies, uses extra life, then he gets the last sword. Right in the movie, he gets the power of love like way earlier, which is something he had never really hadn't accepted before. Maybe he did with Natalie Envy, but he never gotten it to that degree. So then once that started, that pivoted the whole book into like they move in together when, you know, his roommate Wallace wants to go move in with his boyfriend, and then, like, everyone starts kind of growing, and then Scott, like I said, goes and gets a job, and he goes and applies to several different jobs and gets a job, you know.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, but they don't do that in the movie. In the movie, their relationship is kind of just focused on, like, you're a cute manic pixie dream girl, and I'm fighting all these exes because I think you're cute. You know, that's kind of how I felt with the movie.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, like, because in the movie, I think she's like, you're the nicest boyfriend I've ever had. I was like, well, Scott's an asshole. Like, he's like, well, I guess that's maybe the point. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it happens to some people. It depends on the luck of the draw, man.
That's true. That's true.
You are the nicest boyfriend I've ever had, so I married you.
I'm sorry. That's tough. That's tough. It is. I don't know. I think there's just something lacking in the movie where I just cannot connect with the ending. I just don't buy. I don't buy the ending at all. Like, I just don't.
So you agree with what I'm saying, where it's kind of like, I think though, if they hadn't changed those couple little things in some way, and those were things that they could have kept the same pretty much, and it wouldn't really
I don't know how
drag out the movie. I just think that those little things really help drive home. Ooh, I'm not used to chords. This is crazy. It really, like, drives home, like, that like I was saying, the emotional social growth that is the whole point of this, right?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be
That's,
like
to me, that's why the ending, I'm just like, oh, you know.
Yeah, because it's like kind of it's a coming of age story, really.
Mm-hmm.
And they never really have to come of age in the movie because the movie's not constructed like a coming of age story. It's just a love story. So
with
in the
movie, mixed
in the movie, they have to. It ends in a similar way where they're kind of like they choose to be together, but it doesn't have all that background to really inform why that is like a meaningful event, right? And like you said, though, like, you know, with him, Scott learned the power of love or whatever, because the movie has to be like that. It has to simplify the arc, like that. The way the book does it, it's not part of an arc. It's just not. Oh, I mean, it is part of an arc, but it's not the end of the arc.
Right.
The movie presents it as the end. That's the end.
Right.
That's self-respect.
I think that those couple things, though, could have been spread out differently. Like, maybe after one of the weird, crazy battles, that's when, like, kind of like it happened in the book, that's when he gets love. And that would help. Just those little bitty changes. Like, I sound like Vanilla Ice over here. That little itty bitty change. You know, just would have. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that just would have kind of allowed more of, like, a deeper, like, connection instead of just being like a superficial service the whole movie. Like, it is definitely stays superficial.
Yeah, the characters are very one note. They're one note They're one note characters because you never get to see their relationship. You never see them, like, dating. And the book is mostly that. That's the biggest surprise to me is how unimportant the fights are to the book, even to the point where I think even Brian Lee O'Malley was just like, whatever. Yeah, they have to happen. Like the whole one.
Yeah, they're here, but
with the twin fights, the one with when they kept sending all these robots in the book.
Way cooler in the book.
But it's also just like it has nothing to do with going on. He just takes out the robots and they keep talking.
Yeah.
The books are not built around. I mean, they use it as a narrative or a structural device, but it's not like built around it where it feels like really that important in some degrees. At some point in the book, it just stops feeling like that's not the point of those fights. Where in the movie, it is the point of the fights. Like, it is just this kind of like they just go from set piece to set piece, and they just build towards the end, and they don't actually have anything that informs their characters in the middle because they can't. They don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That was how I felt.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish too. I am kind of stuck on that, like, the whole envy thing. Like, I kind of liked how in the book she was more of a character, and then even with Todd Ingram, there was that thing where he was, like, cheating on her, so she was being treated shitty, and, like, I don't know, it just added some more, like, layer to me, where I kind of, in the movie, I get what they were, like, you know, like we said, they had to, like, speed it up and get it into a certain time frame, but, like, it didn't really drive home to me how much envy, like, and Scott, I don't know. To me, it didn't seem like that catastrophic.
Well, yeah, that envy in the book is a huge deal to Scott. Like this is
He
what his
goes into like a coma
yeah.
at one
It
point when he
basically
talks to her.
I mean, Knives Chow took him a year to date somebody, and he's dating a high school chick to get some self-esteem.
Right.
Because she just thinks he's the coolest. You know, like no matter what, he's the coolest. So that's like his rebound or whatever. And
Oh man. Side note, my ex was in a band and there was totally a girl like Knives and it was just so funny because she'd be the one, she literally would just like peer around, is breakfast done yet? And you hear like squeal and you're like, ugh. Ugh. Like what?
oh yeah, see that was their band Sex Bomb. The way they practice is like I hated people that did that. Like, oh, they'd have a show at their house, and so they practice. I'm like, you're not practicing. Get out of here. This is why you guys play the same 10 songs for 10 years.
Right. Well, half the time, to be fair, I was at practice because I was the ride. I wasn't gonna.
Wouldn't have been allowed. You wouldn't have been allowed at my band's practice. We let somebody's girlfriend come one time. She came one time, and she had to sit in a different room. But it was like so awkward. I just couldn't get anything done. Like,
Yeah, I never usually said anything. I didn't get in the way. I was there just because I was the driver.
It's not what it's about. You gotta go like create art, like, and you want to be vulnerable. And you want to do things and try things out at band practice that might not work. You might fail. You don't want to fail in front of some fucking stranger that's like, well, that sucked, guys. Like, go fuck yourself. Anyways.
That's exactly how I was now.
Probably. You're probably like, oh. One of the things that I actually did not like in the movie is that their band is not bad. Their band needs to be bad. That's so important.
They weren't that bad in the book, though.
Yes, they were.
They
were bad.
Yeah.
No, they were bad.
I guess it was just acknowledged that like Steven was the only talent.
The whole thing about, yes, they did say that Steven is the one that's talented. That's why he's doing all the mixing and recording without pretty much everybody.
No, that's not why. That's not why.
Well, it ends up being because they're together or they get together. But, yeah, Steven is the talented one. But that just because they're recording something doesn't mean they're actually good. Like, everybody did that, right? Nobody pays attention to them. They're this completely ancillary thing. They intimate that they're not good. Nobody actually likes them.
Yeah, that's true.
And in the movie,
even Kim and Scott's first band wasn't good with that girl.
Which I thought that's just part of the point, because that's just part of that culture. That's that part of that thing.
That's totally. I was in a band. Did you know that?
Yeah,
we were awful.
In high school.
Yeah, we were awful.
I was in an awful band in high school as well. The Legion.
Wait, what was it?
The League of Doom.
Oh. We were Zero by Demand. Did not pick that name. Ugh. Yeah, awful. Awful. The bass player picked it. That's why bass players should never make decisions, by the way.
That's true. I support this 100%. You're a real Scott Pilgrim if you're a bass player.
Yeah, right? Oh my God, can we talk about Michael Cera's movements while he's rocking out on stage?
Oh, yeah. They did actually, to the credit of the actors, they played all their own instruments and stuff.
No, that is cool. I think, I read something like the guy who played Todd Ingram actually specifically learned to play bass for the movie.
The Brandon Ruth?
Mm-hmm.
Superman?
Superman, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the band was too good because Beck wrote all the songs for the movie.
Not all of. Actually, Broken Social Scene wrote for Crash and the Boys. Those 2-second songs.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
But they were involved, yeah.
Because Beck wrote the Ramona theme, and then he wrote all the Sex Bomb songs, which is like 3 songs: Garbage Man,
Garbage Truck,
Garbage Truck.
Truck.
Yeah, but isn't the song called Garbage Man?
No, it's Garbage Truck.
Be a garbage man.
No.
Truck.
Yeah. Look it up. Look it up.
Look it up. Look into it.
I can't. I'm using my phone.
Would you listen to these songs outside of this movie?
Actually, funny story. So before I got the Rona, it was probably like the day before I got ill. We've been talking about doing this. I actually listened to the soundtrack on the way to work. Meh.
What do you think of the Clash at Demon Head song? I've always kind of liked that song. I don't know why. It's a bad song too.
And you like the band Metric, which is I think the person who's singing is from Metric and also Broken Social Scene.
Probably.
A lot of their music sounds like, a lot of Metric sounds like Clash of Demon Head.
Oh, okay.
So you might enjoy that.
Well, I recognize that it's not very good. I just like it for some reason.
It's very much of that time, though. Like I said, it's the band's Metric. You'd probably really like them, actually.
I'm not from Europe. I don't believe in that. Badunk.
I got it.
No, I know you did.
I don't know.
See, that's some of that wonderful married dynamic. So.
Hey, I feel like this is going very well, actually. Excuse me.
Yeah.
We'll never have a woman on the show again.
Sure. Going great. Yeah, it was. They actually started. Edgar Wright was approached about this in 2004 when the first book came out, and then they had cast it like when Volume 4 came out, and then when some of these people were actually cast years before they started.
Where in his directing timeline would 2004 be? Like when?
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
But he had done Space.
The awful trailer he did for Grindhouse. He had the worst trailer in Grindhouse.
Don't. That's right.
Don't.
Well, you gotta know what he's referencing. He's referencing.
I do know what he's referencing, but it was just
BBC spooky horror movies.
Don't touch that doorknob. Yeah. Nah. It was the lamest one. The best. I'm still waiting for them to make Thanksgiving into a damn movie because that was hilarious. Thanksgiving.
I thought they were going to. Actually, I thought they were going to.
Because wasn't that the Eli Roth one?
Yeah. Yep, that was back in the day. Edgar Wright got hooked in with the cool guys, the Mavericks, the Tarantino and Rodriguez.
Aye.
Eli Roth, Hollywood fuckboys. I wonder when are they gonna get Me Too? I'm waiting. I feel like Tarantino's hiding.
He's probably got some. He's got some socks in his closet, man.
I could tell you that. Yeah, I mean, I think Tarantino's. He got married to an Israeli woman, and he's like hiding out in Israel right now during Corona.
Yeah. I actually saw on, how I watch weird food shows at night when I'm trying to fall asleep. I can't remember what it was, but someone went and visited Robert Rodriguez. Do you know what his thing is? He's got this huge wood-burning pizza oven in his kitchen, and so he just sits there and makes, like, brick oven, wood-burned, like, pizzas, and that's, like, what he's known for.
And his friend circle, yeah.
Yeah, and so people just show up and he's like, here's a cauliflower pizza. Here's a regular pizza. Let's eat them.
Why don't you come on down to the ranch? I'll play some guitar for you.
And then what he does is he puts out this, like, sketchbook. So while he's making you these, like, artisanal pizzas, you have to, like, draw a sketch in the sketchbook. Yeah. It's this, like, big leather-bound book. But that's what Robert Rodriguez is doing after Rose McGowan left and went crazy. After he wrecked his marriage for Rose McGowan.
I don't know. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know. I mean, would I wreck my marriage for Rose McGowan?
Or a guy who was a kid named Rocket. So.
Well, that's true, yeah. Maybe not the most stable people in the world, I don't know.
No. But at least he's just making artisanal pizza. Like, that seems so harmless. And then putting, like, luchador movies on TV. You can't be wrong at that. Or mad at that, Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe that's what drove. Well, I wouldn't say Rose McGowan is crazy. I think Rose McGowan is fed up. That's what I call it. Time's up, bitch. That's what she would say.
I think she went a little cuckoo.
Do you think that it's a justified cuckoo?
I think it's the trauma. Yeah.
I kind of like her. She doesn't take shit, and she doesn't make excuses. She's not like out playing games. She's like, no, fuck you. Like, you don't, just because you're somebody's friend doesn't mean you're not an asshole. Fuck you. That's kind of her deal.
I agree. I was being more like.
That's why Alyssa Milano became the figurehead of Me Too, and Rose McGowan was not allowed to. Like, Alyssa Milano is like
Milano still had her, like, sitcom kind of like.
Well, she's like the PR tested version. like this public
Yeah.
safe for public consumption. They send out
That's
Alyssa
what I
Milano.
kind of gave, like the family sitcom vibe that she used to be back in the day. Yeah, she just has
She
carried
sucks.
that through.
Alyssa Milano
Yeah.
sucks. I got no respect for her. I can have respect for Rose McGowan, but not Melissa Milano. Can't do
Or
it.
Cherry
Can't do
Baby.
it. I won't do it. And yeah. Sorry about that. That was a tangent.
We talked about important stuff, like artisanal pizza.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, like, there isn't a lot to talk about with Scott Pilgrim other than what we've talked about. We've kind of that is about as thorough as you can be with it. Like, you pick up the subtext of the story and you're like, this is very straightforward. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not like a very deep piece of media. And there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, per se. But I did, I found myself kind of appreciating the movie more, which I was surprised because I had been kind of dismissive of it in the past few years, and because I still have the same problem with it. I think the ending is just as doesn't add up to the movie that we've been watching.
No, I don't know. I ended up liking the books more than the movie. So.
But I was kind of annoyed in the same way because it's not a book written from hindsight or or understanding or coming to terms with something. It just felt very, just like immediate, no reflection, no
Very surface.
Surface, yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm not making sense. Maybe that's not fair. I mean, because it is all the subtext about, baggage and dealing with your past relationships and what they mean to you and your role in those relationships. I mean, that stuff is in there, for sure.
But I said earlier, I guess, I just feel like Scott doesn't get the same understanding. Like, he changes at the end a little bit, but I just feel like I keep harping on these couple little changes. It's just like it's not the same impact. Because words, even just how something's explained. So there is definitely a difference between self-respect and understanding, right? Both important things, but I feel like for Scott, that growth needs to come from understanding. Because he just kind of is this pitiful, man-child, right? Who's kind of a jerk. And he's more so of a man-child in the book, because at one point when he's sad about Ramona, his fucking family just is like, there's an apartment, poor Scott. You just be sad and it's okay.
Which I thought was it is a clever kind of tip to the hat, Scott chooses this life.
Yeah.
This makes him even more of an asshole.
And I think for me, though, someone that's their character, understanding is more important than self-respect.
Yeah. So we all knew Scott. What? We all knew Scott's.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with you. I think maybe that there is a little bit you could say it is a little semantic, I guess, what you're saying in some respect, but I know what you mean, because I don't think the movie, but I also don't think the movie represents his history in a way that understanding would make sense. It just wouldn't make sense. The only thing that they have, the only through line in the movie is Scott learning how to respect himself or come back from whatever he's going through, because the movie doesn't explain it, because of the envy thing is just a footnote, so it doesn't actually register in the movie.
Well, I guess in the movie too, they do kind of play that out with every time something happens, instead of him just curling up in a ball, he gets mad, and then he does something with being mad. When he plays, what is that, before the Katanagi twins, when he's there, he's like, I don't even care, and he's just playing the bass all crazy. Is that when that happens? I guess, but it's just, to me, it's not as impactful.
No, it's not.
Like you said, we've all known a Scott, and I don't have pity for those people. I'm sorry, and I've known many of the.
I think everything's relative.
Scott, and I just wanted to punch him all the time.
I think everything is relative to a certain extent. I don't think just because you have that doesn't mean you don't have depression or have, I'm a very magnanimous person. I am a very understanding person. So I'm not like Sarah. Okay.
I don't got time for it.
No, those people are fucking annoying. Like when you're poor and you're trying to scrape by just to like live in some dirtbag city where they are like pretending to feel like you do. You're like, no, guys, stop.
Are you describing my life when I met you?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it. Good times had by all.
Well, that is one of the things about, I think, the book and the movie. It really does fairly represent an era, a time, a lifestyle. Like that was very recognizable to me. That's why I think it is. I did respond to it positively in the sense that it made me laugh because I kind of understood the references and the jokes, not of the jokes themselves, but of the type of people that they represent. Mm-hmm. There's always that type of person that would say that kind of thing, and that's what would make me laugh more than the actual like jokes themselves. Because the jokes are not funny; they're just reference humor. It's like Nerdist bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Chewbacca. Chewbacca. Is Chewbacca eating a watermelon? What?
Yeah.
Wookiees don't eat watermelons. This is nuts.
I do like that in the graphic novels they do reference Katamari Damacy. Can we talk about that now?
Oh, you're such hipster trash. Divorce.
It's a great game. It's a great game.
No, it is. It's a fun
Shut
game.
up.
It's a fun game.
So, and also upon reflection, I wish real life was like that, where you have to like go battle things. Because with you, it'd be like 2 battles and I'm done.
Yeah, as far as actual X's, yeah, for sure.
See, it would have been so easy.
Yeah, you would have had a short road.
Nice.
You gotta find all the other parts though. So it would be more hard because there's all of the situationships, right?
Yeah, situationship.
That actually negatively affected me.
How many dumpsters do I have to go behind for that?
Quite a few. Probably quite a few. What do you think of Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona? Do you think she was a good Ramona?
I think she did fine with what she was given because, like we said earlier, I think they made Ramona a lot colder.
Is she like vacant?
Which is perfect for her. I know you like her, but
I think I've seen her give some good performances over the years.
I just feel like it matches her tone, if that makes sense.
Sure,
That
yeah, I understand what you mean.
Kind of manic pixie, like too cool for you, like kind of snobbish. Because I think at the beginning it was good that she was kind of standoffish and snobbish because she's reluctant because of her past, knowing what the people are going to get into. She's trying to get away, but like we were saying in the books, she becomes a part of like that group in a way that she's kind of like there with everyone in the movies, but even when like Scott's sister talks to her in the movie, she's still very like, well, yeah, whatever, cool, But in the books, they like go to the library together and like talk, and then she talks to Kim, and she does all these things where she feels like she's kind of become part of the group in the story, as opposed to she remains that kind of like I keep saying mean girl outsider, but that's what she stays in the movie.
She feels
even
more
at the end, she's kind of like, cool, good job beating everyone, let's go.
She's almost like more of a plot device in the movie than like a actually fully formed character. Because the movie ends up being more about Scott than the books are more about both of them. Like there's more of a parallel journey.
The whole.
At least that's what I would think. That's what I say. But but I think everybody's cast really well. Jason Schwartzman literally looks like the dude in the book. As Gideon.
Every hipster boyfriend that every girl wanted, yeah.
Yeah, he's like the cool one. Well, he's the older guy though.
I wish he had made his music when this movie came out, Coconut Records, because that is just so ridiculous. That's been so funny. It's so terrible.
Indicative of that whole crew. I cannot stand it. And Sarah knows we argue about that whole crew.
That whole crew? Who else is in the crew?
Like Wes Anderson, Jason Schwartzman, others.
Bill Murray. Yeah, just
Yeah.
those two. You know, that crew.
What's his name? Luke. Blah, blah, blah. The guy. What's his name?
Seven?
No, the one that's in Bottle Rocket. The fucking
Oh, Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson.
Luke and Owen Wilson. They're part of that crew.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, but she's more. I think she's more hired. She doesn't hang out with the boys. You know, they're not.
Filmer.
They're not off making fucking movies in France. Like, oh, let's spend 6.
Oh, I'm so mad about the French Dispatch because stupid Timothy Chalamet's dumb face is in it. I can't.
Oh,
I
stop.
literally look at Timothy Chalamet and get agitated.
Give the man a chance.
No,
Actually,
I
the
get agitated when I look at him.
the French Dispatch looks like it's going to be some soft communist propaganda, but it does look more interesting than his last 5 movies. So
What? Moonrise Kingdom was good.
it's okay.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is
Listen,
great.
we get it, everybody. We get it, Wes. You got daddy issues. We get it. We don't need to fucking make a different movie, for Christ's sakes.
That's why I connect. Daddy
Yeah,
issues
well-
and colorful.
At least your dad's still alive, even though you've never spoken to him. Okay?
I don't know if he's still alive, you know?
Maybe
Who
not.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so Wes Anderson, he's just, to me, it just, I don't know. I'm just not into it. and that's kind of the fear I have with Edgar Wright. It's like, you're just not a great writer. Like, I like the way your stuff moves. I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any substance there at all.
The action sequences in Baby Driver, especially coordinated with the music, which is the whole.
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. It's pretty. But yeah,
But that just gets boring. You can only do that trick so many times.
You remember? Was it your sister? She got so upset that we were dogging it. We were just like, "This is not."
A lot of people were like, "What do you mean you didn't like Baby Driver?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"I don't like Baby Driver."
What?
I think
No, it was not.
I think Ryan from Zoobox Corporate. They were like, "What do you mean?"
What?
It was like the best movie I've ever seen. I'm like, "Oh, you should watch more movies, buddy." No, I just wish, I don't know. This is the beginning of the end for Edgar Wright for me. Just because after this he makes The World's End, and then he made Baby Driver, and I don't even know what he's got coming up.
He's got if you look at his IMDb, he's got 6 things in production.
Oh, he's got 2 things in post.
He's also done a lot of voice acting lately, if I'm not mistaken. He's been in Sing. He was in the new DuckTales.
Edgar Wright?
Yeah, he does a lot of voice acting. And he actually, I did not know this, he was in a bunch of episodes of that show Look Around You that I love. He was in it as acting.
Well, his next movie is I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I was just saying from the research I did, I might be wrong. He had done a lot of voice acting recently too, so.
Okay. He's his next thing is horror thriller. So I guess it's good. I think it got pushed back until next year. I believe it was supposed to come out this year, but coronavirus. It's called Last Night in Soho. It's already done. I think he's already done with it. Yeah, because I think it was supposed to come out this year.
There's a bunch of titles, if I'm not mistaken, right? Just kind of chilling there.
He's got one called Shadows, also in post-production, and then Untitled Sparks documentary. What the hell is Shadows? Plot kept under wraps. Okay. Animation history. No idea. No idea.
Okay.
I will say this. I will always give him a chance. I'll probably always end up watching one of his movies. Just because there's always that chance that he'll recapture or do something that I like.
He will never recapture Shaun of the Dead. That was just
or Hot Fuzz. I mean, that was.
I think Hot Fuzz. People forget about Hot Fuzz, and it's great.
I think it's the best one out of the 3. In hindsight, it's the best one. Probably the funniest one. But
that's probably I know. World's End's probably one I've seen the least, but I haven't watched Hot Fuzz in a long. I don't know. Have we watched Hot Fuzz together?
I think we have once. I think we've watched all of them probably once together since we've been together. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that was just the team that he was working with. I think Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, the co-writers on that stuff, and I think they actually help. They complement each other well because when Simon Pegg and Nick Frost go off without Edgar Wright, It's also awful. It's like corny and saccharine, and
You
there's
didn't
no
like
balance.
Paul? You didn't like Paul?
I didn't actually. I thought
No, it was not that good.
no, but because of all those things, it's like too overly sentimental, and it's just like not. It's corny and boring in bad ways. But
Yeah.
I think when you take those kind of scripts and you give it to Edgar Wright, he can do something with them. Like he adds that extra thing where those things kind of are a little easier to swallow, I guess.
Kind of like Dan McBride, Jody Hill, and all of them together.
Yeah, when they work together, it's amazing. The Righteous
Separately,
Gemstones.
it's
The
fine.
Yeah, The Righteous Gemstones is one of my favorite shows ever. I mean,
Oh,
that
that's so good. Well, Eastbound and Down. How can we not?
Eastbound and
Yeah.
Down, Vice Principals. I mean, come on.
I need to finish. I never finished Vice Principals,
Oh,
actually.
well, if you like Righteous Gemstones and Eastbound and Down, you should definitely watch Vice Principals. It's great. But yeah. Well, I think we did a pretty thorough job going through Scott Pilgrim.
We did.
It
In
is
like 10 minutes.
No, we hit the hour. We hit an hour. It's just
Nice.
there isn't a lot to dive into. I mean, you could get into like maybe I guess the production of the comic book and why it took him so long in the background. But whatever, he's just some stupid hipster. I said, hurry up, hipster. Let's go. Actually, I bet you the creation of the movie actually is probably what dragged that process out, because I think he was simultaneously working on the movie and doing the books.
We got a real George Martin over there. He's supposed to be arrested by now.
Yeah, he's supposed to be in jail right now.
I call for his arrest. I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah. I don't think he can't save Game of Thrones. I'll read a synopsis. I'll never read those books.
No, I hope though he does finish it, and it's just some totally like crazy like.
Yeah, he should. If he was smart, it would just be completely different.
It's gonna be like a Saint Elsewhere.
You're gonna
You
find
get
out.
that joke?
It's
It's just
yeah.
in a snow globe, and some autistic kids been staring.
Well, he's
at
gonna
it.
pull a Stephen King. He's gonna pull a Stephen King, and he's gonna put himself in the story, and then the story's gonna become meta and self-aware, and he's gonna be like, "Listen,
I am the one true king of the North.
you don't
And then
need
just-
to read." Oh, Stephen King did that in the Dark Tower. The end, like halfway through the first book, or the last book rather. There's like kind of the climax. The climax kind of happens. Like you kind of get your answer, and then he goes into like off the rails meta territory after that. And he literally says, he's like, if you feel like you're satisfied here, stop.
I'm gonna keep.
I mean, he's a
I'm
character.
gonna have my 6 writers finish this for me.
Stephen King is a character in that book, in his own book. Yeah, it's weird. He's like, I got hit by a van.
He didn't write it, so it's okay.
You think Stephen King's got shadow writers? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
This is what you're saying? Disgusting.
I just knew
Well,
that
that's
would
true
make
though.
you mad.
I mean, he spends all of his time on fucking Twitter, talking about Trump. When's he got time to write?
He like posts pictures of his dogs or cats a lot, or something weird.
Oh, the thing, the evil thing, or whatever he calls it. He thinks he's being cute. He's not.
Oh, my mom probably thinks it's cute. My mom really likes Stephen King.
I like Stephen King, but halfway through every modern Stephen King book, I'm like, I'm done. We watched that series, The Outsider. The Outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Did you finish that with me? Did you ever finish it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that show just completely completely sucks. The end just sucks.
So good at first. It was so good at
Oh,
first.
the first 3 episodes are incredible. But do you think Scott Pilgrim should be remade into a Netflix 10-part series?
No.
Do you think you'd get more out of it? Is this what you want?
Stop. I'm so sick of these like rehashings and retellings, and just stop.
Well, it's been 10 years.
There are so many other stories and books and life experiences. Just stop rehashing everything. Like it's so I want to hit my head in the wall. I think that's why I've really like started to like just shut down and watch garbage TV all the time, because I just like I can't.
Yeah,
My brain is mush from all this shit.
Yeah, you just started that, did you?
Yeah. I did. Shut your mouth. I'm a learned woman.
I am learned. I have many leather-bound books. She does. Actually, not too many leather-bound ones, but definitely a lot of
I
books.
have some. No, so I'm in our lounge because we're cool and have a lounge.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say counting all like my art books and all my history books and philosophy books and stuff. What? Got a cool like 150 books sitting in here? Easy.
150? No, there's probably like 500 or 600 books in there.
Oh, is there? I don't
It's like 5 shelves full of books. 150 books?
Yeah, I think that's only
There's
150.
probably like 30 to 40 books on each like shelf.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
That's like if I looked at my movie shelf and I'm like, nah, what's that? Like a cool 75?
No.
Motherfucker, I have bought 75 movies over the quarantine period.
Who you talking to like
I'm
that?
talking to the motherfuckers out there.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah. 70,
Yeah, you have
150.
you have a sickness though.
Yeah, I have a problem.
I love it when I'm like, especially when at work, and I'll get like, because now we have like a joint email where all of our bills come from and stuff, and it's like, that your Amazon order number, blah 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 blah, has shipped, and I'm like, what the fuck now? Like literally, I say that out loud so many times, and everyone's like, it's to the point where some of the staff are like, oh, Shaun, get another movie, and I'm like, yeah, like 4.
Gotta
You a sickness.
you gotta keep Dad happy, you know.
Just like
You gotta
they
do
say,
that. It's a real Scott Pilgrim.
It's a life.
Yeah, it's a real Scott Pilgrim move. That's what I like to say, you know. And in a lot of ways, I embody Scott Pilgrim. What?
Was Paul your Wallace?
Was Paul my Wallace?
You know, snuggling in bed.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, minus the gay part.
minus being gay, but who knows? You know, he's young. He'll come around.
That was my roommate, my old roommate.
What was your old roommate?
Renee was my Wallace, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, I gotcha.
She used to, like, if I had a bad night, would wake me up singing with, like, fresh made coffee. It was very sweet. Very sweet.
That's very sweet. That's very nice. Because you guys shared a room too, didn't you? At some point.
Yeah, because we were in like this huge. We were in this like huge historic like brown. What do you call this, brownstone kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you? Yeah, and it was pretty much like a mansion because it was big enough to where 9 of us lived there, but it was comfortable.
Yeah.
And Renee and I split a room because the room. Oh, this is disgusting. The room for one room, it was $500 a month for just one room in that house, and we had a big enough room. We were on the all the way top floor, but it was big enough to where we did not feel like we were on top of each other. Like she was on that side, I was on this side, and we could fit like we had just a whole bunch of like pillows on the floor and a huge TV, and we still had plenty of space. Like, someone had a room that was literally, like, a library with, like, built-in, like, bookshelves. Like, these gorgeous dark wood bookshelves and, like, bay window. I loved that house.
Yeah. Sounds like a cool house.
Yeah, and then the basement was disgusting, but that's where all my friends used to just, like, randomly have concerts playing in the basement. I've told you about that.
So you lived the life of the Scott Pilgrim universe, yeah.
Pretty much. I don't know who I would be, though.
Yeah, who would you be?
I don't know.
So would you be?
I probably was Scott that I wanted to admit because I went through a lot of like rough breakups at that point and stuff. So it was just.
You were Scott?
Yeah, because I was kind of like.
How dare you? You're not a boy.
I just meant like because I was the friend that like when we kind of around this time when the movie came out and stuff, I was the one that kind of like I just broken up with someone I'd been with for like 8 years, and I was being kind of wild, and then I'd like get my heart broken again, and I'd just be sad, you know. I just I don't know. Who would you be, Shaun?
I'd probably be
You'd
I don't
be
know. I don't know who I'd be.
young Neil.
Huh?
You'd be young Neil.
Young Neil. No, probably more like Scott.
Oh
In some
god.
ways, not in the way of like dating problems or whatever, but like I was definitely like a poor bum, and I was
See,
kind of a drag to be around sometimes.
I wasn't that. No offense. I just,
Wow. Wow.
working lady.
I was like
No.
Julie Powers, you know? Not really.
Okay. I was Mr. Chow. No. I know, it's just interesting to think about that stuff. But yeah, we'd have like concerts in our basement, and I used to get so mad because I'd come home from like a long day because I used to teach kids. So I'd be like tired and annoyed. And just be like 60 people in my house, and a like really shitty band playing in the basement, and then someone drinking my good beer from the beer fridge. I remember I cussed some dude out, some burly dumb metalhead. He had one of my good beers, and I just like I didn't even give a shit that day. I just like got in his face, and I was like, "Who the fuck told you?"
Yeah.
Well, it was there. It was there. I was in my fucking house. Like that was fun.
Yeah, I used to.
You know, like those big fat metalheads are just like,
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, I used to have that when I lived in Boston. That's why I didn't live there very long. Just annoying. No respect for people's shit or their.
No.
Just sucked. Just sucked. That's what happens when you live with 15 people.
And that's why we quickly moved out after that. I think we were there like a year and a half, and we was like.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't say that's quickly, but.
Well, I mean, there's leases, so you have to kind of.
You gotta stick it out, yeah.
Couldn't leave the other Sarah without the H with like a $16,000 rent,
Well, that's why you sublet and you just say peace.
Yeah, I was actually subletting. Renee and I sublet for one person, so one person used to pay $500 for a room, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't miss that. We literally pay a little bit more than that for our whole house. It's great.
Yeah, it's the beauty of living in the South. Kind of property values are just much more manageable.
It's not a mansion, but I like it. Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any closing thoughts on Scott Pilgrim before we head out? Would you recommend people read the book or watch the movie or what?
You got like a couple quick. I mean, it depends on how fast. I'm a pretty quick reader, so for me, it was like a really quick read. Especially what was that, issue 5 with a lot of just like action.
Yeah.
So if you need something you can pick it up or download it or whatever, I do recommend reading it. Watch the movie if you're really bored one night or have never seen it. If you've never seen it, go ahead and experience that.
Yeah, I think if you're going to take the time to reread the books or read the books for the first time, you should watch the movie after. I think it does, for the most part, it represents the spirit of the book fairly well. Like, it's just the very surface level, even more surface level than an already kind of surface level thing. So it kind of might fall a little flat at the end, but I would definitely say it's worth checking out, especially if you're our age. Like, it's fun to kind of revisit that time in your life a little bit. So if you
I don't know. Do you think kids like that are that age right now would really relate to a lot of that? I think it was more of like our time kind of thing.
No, I don't even.
Just a bunch of facts now.
Could you even make Scott Pilgrim today? Could you make the movie? Book? The book? Wouldn't this be like wildly offensive to people? Like about, of a certain generation. So if you took the average like 20-year-old of 2020, the kind of people they're representing.
They would definitely pick apart him and Knives.
Well, no, I'm just saying all of the identity stuff that like is not a big deal, and that the way they talk about it in both the book and the movie would be completely socially unacceptable. Which is kind of what we started. I think we started the conversation off kind of saying that. I don't think you could get away with it.
No.
I think you would be. This would be. I'm surprised Scott Pilgrim has not yet made the cancel round, which is weird because they have the.
Make it a thing.
They have because it's the 10th anniversary and everybody's quarantining, so they did a script read through with most of the original cast recently. So
I saw that.
Maybe I should go get it started. Maybe
Yeah.
I should try to cancel them.
Why?
Maybe they deserve it.
You're
I'm
awful.
just joking. No, but yeah. So I think that's gonna do it. You got anything else you want to say? Thanks for coming on, Sarah.
Anytime you need someone to help kill airtime with, I don't live far.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. We're gonna pick another movie, obviously.
No, we're gonna do Scott Pilgrim again. I don't know what you want to do.
I don't know. We'll
You're not
talk
gonna be like
about
a
it.
normal YouTube person and be like, leave your suggestions in the comments.
I hadn't gotten there yet.
Oh, sorry.
See?
Sorry,
That's not my
Foster has
stuff.
trained me. You say these things.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, there's a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my personal Twitter. Also, if you'd like to make a suggestion for the daily movie reviews or for one of these big, longer episodes, Zoobox Goes to the Movies episodes, leave it in the comments, and I'll put it on the list. Don't know when I'll get onto it. We're kind of backlogged a little bit with a list of stuff to do, so we're working through it. But thanks, Sarah, and bye, everybody.
See you in a minute.
I'm hearing voices, and the voices, the cream of the cream, the feminine abyss, and reaching my
Here we go.